Now let's talk about pre-flighting your airplane. When you're doing a pre-flight inspection, particularly for the first flight of the day, the best way to do it is using the manufacturer's checklist, because that manufacturer's checklist gives you a thorough and systematic way to do that pre-flight inspection, to make sure that you look at all the items you need to and you don't miss anything. A quick walk around is not enough. You really need to have some thorough and systematic way to look at that aircraft and make sure that it's ready for flight. Now, the pilot in command, as here, plus the mechanic, plus the owner or operator, all have responsibilities as far as the airworthiness of an aircraft is concerned. So let's talk about those responsibilities. First of all, the pilot in command. The pilot in command is responsible for determining during the pre-flight inspection if that aircraft is safe for flight. Is it airworthy and ready to take up on this particular flight? Things like that only the pilot in command can recognize, like, has it been hit by a truck? Does it have adequate fuel? Does everything look okay as far as the aircraft going up into the air? But the mechanic also has some responsibility. The mechanic who performs work or an inspection on the aircraft determines that the aircraft is airworthy at the time of completing that work or that inspection. In other words, the mechanic is responsible to make sure that he does the work in a proper and responsible and a workmanlike way, and that the aircraft is airworthy when the mechanic turns loose of it. But the owner or operator of the aircraft also has some responsibility, because it's the owner or operator that has the overall responsibility for maintaining the aircraft in an airworthy condition, for making sure that that aircraft is inspected and repaired as necessary to keep it in an airworthy condition. Now, when you're all done flying for the day, it's a good idea to fill the fuel tanks completely full. The reason is, if the fuel tanks are only partially full, there's an airspace in there, and there is actually moisture in the air, and you could end up with moisture condensation in the tank. So if you fill the fuel tanks clear up, what you've done is eliminated any air spaces in the tanks, and that way you don't have moisture condensation issues, and you don't have to worry as much about water ending up in the fuel. So how do you purge your fuel system of any water that may have gotten into it from condensation or any other source, such as loose fuel caps or bad cap gaskets during rain or when you're washing the aircraft? Well, what you want to do is drain fuel from all the sources available to you, including the fuel strainer drain and the fuel tank sumps. You do not want to drain from just one location, even if it happens to be the lowest point in the fuel system. You want to drain the fuel from every place available to you, and that includes the fuel strainer drain and the fuel tank sumps. And in fact, if you find any water, you should then follow the manufacturer's procedures, including maybe rocking the wings, and keep draining fuel from the fuel strainer and the tank sumps until you have completely clear fuel samples. Now, what if the recommended octane for your particular aircraft is not available? What you should do then is use the next higher octane aviation gas, not the lower octane and not automotive gas. Use the next higher octane of aviation gas.